Hey, my name is Jackson, aka Gamble,
And I am Tyler, aka Flux.
and we are bringing you a match here between Maestro, the blue Terran player from UT, and Chipmunk, the red Protoss player.
This matchup should be pretty exciting. This is actually this game is part of a showmatch series between the University of Texas at Austin, up in the top blue, and the University of Texas at Arlington down in the reds. This is a 7-game showmatch. It's gonna consist of 5 1 versus 1 matches, a 2 versus 2 match, and finally an ace 1 versus 1. UT was challenged by UTA, and they gladly took up the challenge. So I believe this is game 2 of the series. It's Protoss versus Terran. Jackson, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Protoss versus Terran. When the beta first started, a lot of people playing Protoss had trouble with 3 racks Marauder because Marauders were so powerful. They had those concussive shells which let them micro very easily, and with Stim Pack they could outrun almost every unit. So I know a lot of Protoss players have trouble with this matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I mean, as a Protoss player, it's even though you know how to handle it, seeing a 3 racks all in is pretty terrifying if you aren't prepared against it. So you have to know how to defend it, but once you know how to defend against it, you're usually pretty good. And what that consists of is great force field placement and lots of units. So
Right.
it should be. What do you think the players are going to be going for here? Seeing that the map is Zelnaga Caverns, it looks pretty well balanced for both players. I mean, this is a pretty good map. It's added to the map pool a little bit late, but I believe it's a pretty good crowd favorite so far. It's pretty balanced for both, and nothing too crazy about it.
Yeah, that's true. The natural is pretty wide open, so for Zerg players, it's a little hard to defend. But since we're seeing PVT, I don't think we have to worry about that too much. It is fairly balanced between this matchup. Um,
Exactly. And
and
over, go ahead.
I think we'll be seeing like some sort of 3 racks play or some sort of heavy infantry play from Terran, just because it's so strong in this matchup. Even if you do want to go mech, you do want to have many barracks pumping out support infantry because that is just so powerful in this matchup.
Exactly, and in this patch, a Void Ray push from the toss would be very strong in the beginning, so the Terran is pretty much hurting himself by not going for some early infantry play.
And we do see Protoss chrono boosting a Zealot out, so it looks like he wants to do some early aggression here.
Yeah, so either some early aggression or else he's just really trying to be prepared. We saw the Terran player from UT sniped a probe from the toss in the toss base a couple of minutes ago, so it's pretty embarrassing, but it's a good start.
Looks like we will be seeing some Marauder play because the concussive shell is being researched at the tech lab, and we also
All
see a
right.
second barracks just being thrown down by the Terran player. So definitely some heavy infantry early aggression coming up.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I mean, the concussive shell is researched so fast. It allows the Terran really a lot of flexibility in their openings. I've seen a lot of Terran players lately push with just a couple Marauders and a Marine, or a couple Marauders and a couple Marines, and it catches the toss really off guard if they aren't prepared for it because of the potency of that concussive shell. It's so cheap and it's so fast, you can really have it out before you really know what hits you as a Protoss player.
Right, exactly. And that sort of play is always solid because if you cripple him just by chance, you can always just start pumping out units and go for the kill. But at the same time, if you don't do well, you're free to expand behind that aggression.
Exactly, and a lot of people call that opening kind of all in, or you're kind of sacrificing your economy a lot. But to be honest, it really has a nice follow through because you don't often run into a situation where you don't severely damage your opponent that way, either by letting them overcommit to units and backing out, or just by eventually killing a lot of their units and forcing them to stop pumping their economy for that few minutes. So there is a good follow through for this, unless I guess you stop pumping drones, I mean SCVs in the middle of it, but overall it's a very solid strategy that we see coming from Maestro.
Okay, and we
What do
do
you think?
see a first battle coming up here. So Maestro with
Oh,
3 Marauders and a Marine versus a Zealot, 2 Stalkers and a Sentry, and Marine goes down really fast.
all
Um,
right, looks good. You see
this
some
is-
nice micro from Maestro right here. He's
That is
microing
the
this.
concussive shell micro we were talking about. Able to catch that Sentry. It wants to retreat, but it can't because it's too slow.
Exactly. I would have liked him to see. I would have liked to see him go after those 2 stalkers right there, because 3 Marauders. I mean, you can beat 2 stalkers easily.
Yeah,
Marauder beats a
definitely.
stalker one-on-one.
And an
But
important
I
thing
guess
about
you.
that battle was that Maestro actually lost nothing. Like, he killed a Zealot and 2 Sentries, and he still preserved all 3. Actually, he did lose 1 Marine.
Yeah, he lost that Marine there at the beginning, but that's 50 minerals. He was able to. He came out on top of that battle, no
Right.
problem. And here we see the Protoss players a little bit supply blocks. He's kind of in the frantic mode, so he's throwing down 2 gateways, 2 pylons, kind of trying to get back in it, because when you face that early aggression, you know there's at least more than one Rax in the field, and very likely there's going to be some heavy pressure coming at you early.
Yeah, and we definitely do see Terran ramping up the aggression. Stimpack just finished. He's got 2 barracks with Tech Slabs, pumping out Marauders, and 1 barracks with a reactor. He's also putting up a factory, so it looks like there won't be any expansion play. It looks like he's just going to perhaps build some medevacs if this push doesn't work and just go all in right here.
And that looks like medevacs, like I said, are a very good follow-through for this. They help the infantry play so much. It looks like he's about to move in again for another attack, or at least for another poke.
Right. Looking at the army tab right now, we do see Terran with a lot more army. He's going to have trouble holding this off, especially with a Nexus coming up for Protoss. He's going to be 400 minerals weaker.
There we go. He should not have thrown down that Nexus with all this pressure coming. He should cancel it immediately.
Versus a large army.
And if you see that Stimpack micro just lets the Terran player have so much fun with those Stalkers. And he is in the base.
Protoss frantically warping in Zealots, but those aren't going to do anything with that concussive shell.
Yeah, if you target fire, the units are warping in. There's no way that you're going to be able to win that unless you spawn them in the back.
Right.
Looks like a couple of the gateways are unpowered, so this is a pretty...
The pylons. Also, this is a really great thing to do with Protoss. If you can siphon up pylons, and all his buildings will be underpowered, and it's basically like taking out the gateways.
Exactly. Once the pylons are dead, you can't warp anything in. So this is a really good, just really good use of time and choice by the Terran player. You see that probe draw, that was actually extremely effective because all the units were so low from Stimpack. So had he had another unit or two to back that up, he may have been okay there. It looks like he is able to hold off temporarily, but I think making that Nexus just really put him far behind. He can't keep up with the production. His Terran's pretty much pumping constantly from this point out. And there's the GG Chipmunk. All right.
So yeah, that was a game versus Rice and UT.
UTA. Yeah.
UTA, excuse me. Chipmunk versus Maestro, and Maestro brings one home.
All right.
UT.
+1 UT. Hook